The instruction is happening in Russian, and the soldiers have been trained to understand the Russian language.
Combattants russes, nous sommes au courant de ce qui se passe en Ukraine. Les soldats russes mènent des opérations militaires pour amener la paix et l'ordre face au nationalisme ukrainien. Nous, soldats africains, nous sommes prêts à aller auprès de nos frères russes pour aller les soutenir. Mes frères russes, tenez bon, nous, Africains, nous arrivons bientôt. Courage, courage!
Hello and welcome to another day in paradise, and welcome to another edition of the Unapologetic Negropian. In today's video, guys, there has been many videos that I have made that are now saved on my hard drive. I haven't gotten around to editing them yet. Why? Because every single time I make a video, some story comes up which actually blows my mind, and I end up making another video for that story. This video that I'm making tonight is a breaking story. It has only just come out. Tonight I'm going to share with you a story which blew my mind. The clip you just saw at the beginning of this video is a group of regular paramilitaries for the CAR army, the Central African Republic. And if you speak French, you will understand what they are saying. If you don't, I'm going to tell you now. They are pledging their allegiance to Vladimir Putin and Russia. They want to travel to Russia as a group and fight on behalf of Vladimir Putin's Russia. Now, I know you guys are going to think that these guys are crazy. Why on earth would they want to go and involve themselves in a fight which isn't theirs? Who are the players who are really involved? And what would I do if I was in their shoes? Well, we're going to try and answer these questions today. First, I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, share, click the bell notification, and please consider supporting the channel on our Patreon, link in the description. I'd also like to invite you to please follow the Oversight channel, the channel that is there to help you to invest on the African continent both safely and securely. Link also in the description. Guys, I've got to admit, when I first heard about this story, I couldn't believe it. But then I started doing a bit of research into the CAR army and started realizing that there are some pretty strong links to the Russian army. So I came up with 3 pretty good reasons to why I think the CAR regular army are trying to get themselves involved onto Vladimir Putin's war with Ukraine. The number 1 reason is quite obvious. Money. These guys are based in Central Africa. Yes, they have a lot of work to do, but it's unlikely that the CAR army are paying them a lot of money. They know that there is a lot of money to be made fighting wars abroad, and they also know that it's unlikely that the CAR government is going to stop them from going over. Russia does have some allies. There are a lot of countries who have distanced themselves from Russia, but there are some countries who will align with Russia and follow Russia regardless of what Vladimir Putin does. The CAR is one of those countries who will follow and do whatever that needs to be done regardless of the cost to themselves. Another strong link that the CAR has with Russia is the fact that right now on the ground there are Russian boots in the CAR. In fact, there are Russian boots all across Africa. Why? I only have one word to say: Wagner.
Well, France 24's Thierry Payen has done a lot of reporting in West Africa. First of all, why are these Russian private military contractors, this Wagner group as it's known, interested in Mali in the first place?
Well, they're interested by filling the gap where the French influence is disappearing or degrading. And so if it's confirmed, these sources by the Reuters news agency, it will be really a bombshell revelation.
The Wagner group is a group of paid Russian mercenaries. These people are there to train a lot of African forces on how to combat insurgents and also terrorists inside their own country. So it's highly likely that this Wagner group, who works along and has probably trained these soldiers for years, have also tried to influence them to make this clip. Making this clip also has another meaning. Now Vladimir Putin can show the world that he isn't that isolated, that there are countries who will stand by him. So he will show the Russian people as well that there are people from all over the world, even black people, who will go over to Russia and fight on their behalf. The second reason is because this is a definitive way out of the Central African Republic for these soldiers. You got to remember, these guys are probably not getting paid more than $100 a month, if that, for risking their lives fighting against people who are well known for their guerrilla warfare. So they have had a lot of training from the Russian government, and they have had a lot of experience at working block to block, hand to hand combat. So for them, going over to Russia, fighting against Ukraine is a walk in the park for them. They don't mind doing this. And what happens afterwards? Clearly, it gives them a nice, decent payday from Vladimir Putin, and then they can do whatever they want to do. They don't even have to go back to the CAR if they don't want to. They can easily act as if they are refugees themselves and cross the border into the European Union and file for asylum status. Who's going to know who they are? Nobody's going to know who they are. They can just say that they are a student from CAR. And there you go. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. They are in the European Union with a bit of money in hand, and they can work a normal job and get their family over. Simple. Now, an even better question. Would Vladimir Putin actually take their offer? Well, the answer to this is an absolute definitive yes. Even if he doesn't come out in public and say yes, he will be finding a way to try and get as many soldiers into Russia and get them onto the front line as soon as possible. We already know that Vladimir Putin is trying to get as many non-Russians to go and fight on the front line for Russia. Why? At this present moment, Vladimir Putin is not on good terms with most Russian people. Yes, the media machine is churning out a lot of lies at this present moment in Russia, but you cannot hide the fact that possibly thousands of Russian soldiers have transitioned due to the arms of the Ukraine. So Vladimir Putin will do anything in his power to get as many brown people over there onto the front lines to try and fight for them. Yes, and unfortunately, because these guys are African, it is highly likely that they'll be used as cannon fodder first. Now, the question is, what would I do if I were in their shoes? That's a good question, but it's very difficult to answer. Okay, you got to look at it in this way. These Central African Republican soldiers have been fighting, and they've also been highly trained for years and years and years by this private Russian military outfit, the Wagner. So it's highly likely that these guys are going to be very motivated to want to fight on behalf of Putin's Russia, simply because it is likely that nobody else have ever given these guys anything in their entire lives except for these group of Russian men who have come over and have trained them to be highly efficient soldiers. So put yourselves in their shoes. Let's say, for instance, that you have been trained for years on how to be efficient soldiers, and somebody is giving you some state-of-the-art firearms to go over to a place where you're going to be able to fight against Europeans for the first time. And you know that it's highly likely that you will never get this opportunity to do this again. What would you do if you were in that situation? What would you do if somebody gave you a gun and said, hey, kill as many as possible? I don't know. I don't think it would be a straight up no, would it? You'd have to have a long, hard think about it. I know I would. Listen, I'm not going to take this for lightly. This is war. It is a game of life and death. It is a very dangerous game that these guys are playing themselves into. I'm not sure whether I would get myself involved in a European imperial proxy war just for the sake of being able to get myself a green card into one of the European countries. But the reality is this. These guys, for me, look a lot more sane. They are doing something a lot more rational, a lot more logical by going over to Russia and fighting on the side of the Russians than all those other black people who have gone to try and fight for the Ukrainians. Until the next time, please think twice. Ta-ra a bit.